Welcome to the Market My STR show, the show made exclusively for short-term rental owners and co-hosts that actually works, so you can stop wasting time and money on short-term rental and co-hosting marketing strategies that don't work. Listen in for tips, tricks, and our book solid, move the needle, and core 4 marketing strategies. Here's your host, Scott Hill.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Market My STR show. Maybe we should just call it the Alt Bear Show, Jeremy.
Right. I'm not going to lie. Have I thought about it?
It's is dominated by the talk of us trying to build a co-hosting company, which will be on the back of Market My STR, no doubt, in that marketing is one of the 4 pillars of running an elite property. And so for us, we're going to do that on top of Market My STR. So that's why this is important. We have a lot of clients, subscribers for Market My STR that are co-hosts or small property managers. So that's why we think it fits. If it doesn't, we're sorry. Try to do some more Market My STR specific stuff, but it's all Market My STR specific anyway, because all it boils down to one really important thing is how do we maximize the performance of a property? Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself?
All right. Well, I told you we're going to have a new segment just for fun here going forward. So I'm surprising Jeremy with our new segment, which is called Totally Off Topic. Jeremy, totally off topic.
Perfect.
I came up with this because I have something totally off topic to talk about quickly.
All right. Let's do it.
Can you sing? Do you know how to sing?
I do not.
Can you carry a tune of any kind at all? Okay.
0.
That's where I would be 4 months ago when I decided to download this app, Simply Sing, right?
Okay.
I did. I couldn't carry a tune to save my life. Anyway, I downloaded this app called Simply Sing, and they sort of coach you through how to sing.
So are you going to sing for us?
No,
Oh.
because I am now officially not the world's worst singer.
Nice.
That's it. That's the only bar. I told my kids, I told my wife, I want to learn how to carry a tune in private for myself, ever sing in front of anyone.
I was going to ask, are you ready to get in front of people?
No, I just
in the shower?
Just want to.
And I don't think you have multiple people in the shower with you. So I guess.
But I don't really, I just don't want to be physically sick by my voice anymore. You know what I mean? That's really what's my goal.
Nice.
But I will tell you.
How long ago did this, so this is just a few months ago, you were like, this is something I'm going to change? At this point in my life, I need to be able to sing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's what I did.
I haven't had that feeling yet.
So okay. Well, I mean, I'm years ahead of you. You may get there. But so I go off in the corner of my house in a bedroom and I turn on this app and I sing to myself. It's been fun.
Well, maybe you can sing like an opening jingle for us.
Yeah, no, never. But the point is, I am not the world's worst singer. I honestly can hear myself carry a tune. I have been able to sing where I don't physically get ill with myself. Sweet Caroline, that's one.
Nice.
There's an Alison Krauss song, For the Goodness of God. I don't want to cringe. I mean, there are a couple, like 3 or 4 songs. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I know you have a personal and business relationship with Brenna Charles. So if you want to take it up a notch, right?
Yeah, have you ever heard her sing, Brenna Charles?
No, I know she's phenomenal.
It's angelic. Like she's unreal. So anyway, that's not happening. But anyway, totally off topic. You got anything totally off topic now that I've done that?
Now that I know that's something we're doing, not anything that comes immediately to mind. But if something does, I'm going to stop us in the middle of whatever we're doing and I'm going to bring it up.
I would like to implement this new segment weekly where we do that. And I believe the boundary should be something that you really like, something that caught you off guard that's been fun, or it's something you would recommend somebody. Someone might find some value out of it. You know what I mean? I don't typically care for the people where it's off topic and they just bitch and moan about something. That's not, I'm not real big fan of that, but anyway, you can do what you want.
It's an off-topic conversation with maybe a solution.
Yeah, with something positive. Like I like to be a positive guy.
Sure.
So like my positive, totally off-topic subject today is Simply Sing. The app. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited after a few drinks to get you to sing.
Try it out. We could have you know what? We'll tell Dan and Michael to do it, and then our accountability group can have a barbershop quartet.
Well, yeah, if we can get there, we're focused on the wrong things.
We may get some texts and messages like acts that totally off topic. It's already 5 minutes into the episode and we're
It's
not
all
even
right.
started. All right. So today's podcast is going to be, we're finalizing, talking through the 4 pillars of our 30A luxury property investment
Yeah.
analysis PDF that we provide people, where there's a place where we're gonna recommend to every single owner that if they have a rental manager, the rental manager needs to be able to cover these things.
Yeah. And I'm
Otherwise,
going to back up and say it's not finalized. We're still going to
right,
wordsmith it and
right,
tighten it up a little bit to
right.
make it a page.
But we're gonna
Um,
get some help. We're gonna get some
yeah.
help from ChatGPT.
Yeah. And we kind of talked through it on the fly last week, right? We've kind of always had this page and we've kind of talked through, we know what the 4 things are and like how do we put that
Yeah.
into, into a document to share. So you and I both spent a little bit of time this week after last week's podcast just to think about it a little bit further. And we've now updated that document based on that time.
Yeah. So for those of you who have never listened, Jeremy has spent 5 years in this industry. He has owned, he has managed over a dozen properties at once. He is the expert partner here when it comes to property management. I founded Market My STR. That's where we're so excited to be partners because we're complementary to each other and we're not stepping on
Absolutely.
each other's toes. What Jeremy's talking about we have developed the 4 pillars of elite property sort of performance. One is, how do you deliver elite property performance, which is really limited to the property itself. How do you maintain it? And then also, how do you share that property with others appropriately? Like the listing, what does the listing look like? Is it when you get there the same as what it said in the listing, type of thing? That consistency. And then the second question for us, a pillar, all these 4 questions and pillars are one and the same. Explain how you deliver elite revenue management performance. Explain how you deliver elite marketing performance, and explain how you deliver elite hospitality. I say that up front because you guys, whoever's listening, may have not heard us last week, and because these are the 4 questions, and these are what Jeremy knows like the back of his hand, so he's going to walk us through them. And I got him just as he was taking a drink, so I
Yeah,
stopped for
perfect.
you.
I'll run through the first 2. I think, you could definitely take the lead on elite marketing. And we'll
Okay.
see where we land with hospitality. Yeah, so we kind of talked through it on the fly last week. We sat down, spent a little bit more time on it because I think I had said some things that maybe weren't applicable to the certain specific questions I was on. But so this first one, explain how you deliver elite property performance, is a question, the first question that we think any rental manager should be able to answer when being interviewed. And essentially what I came up with is we leverage repeatable processes, systems, and technology. This allows us to create a detailed onboarding process that documents the property in its entirety. I'm saying without this step, any PM will fail at both property management and hospitality. I think this is kind of like step 1 when you want to be elite property performer. Without all the information about the property, and I'm going off script, off of this document here and just kind of explaining a little further, but without knowing every single make, model of appliance, knowing where important items are like electrical panel, electric gas shut off, water shut off, all those things, how different things function, taking videos of how to operate anything that isn't more than just a push button to start that a guest, touches, uses, experiences, and you're setting yourself up for failure. So that was the first point. Next one was utilizing technology to ensure every task that needs to be completed across the property occupancy types. Kind of came up with that wording. We'll have to work on that a little bit. But those types being the property is vacant, the property is getting ready for check-in. So it's a check-in day, it's during a stay, or it's during checkout. And I'm saying so ensure all the tasks that needs to be completed across property occupancy types are easily accessible in dashboards, assigned to the correct people, sequenced in the proper order, and then also reviewed for thoroughness. So having the ability to bring everything into the right dashboards in front of the right people, and then being able to check off and make sure everything gets done. And then the second component of this first question is building lasting local relationships. What's becoming a more popular thing in the way that we're going to operate is being remote property manager. So all of our boots on the ground are not just contractors and vendors to us. They are our partners and are valued and treated as such. And things that we're going to do, Scott, is, the yearly get together. We're going to try and get everybody together. I think that helps to build relationships. Fast payment on invoices is always always a thing that you have to do, right, to make sure you build those relationships, and then just kind of understanding what their goals are and what they're trying to achieve and how can we help them build their business. But those are the two main topics.
All right, so
That I
let me
think,
ask you.
yeah,
Let me dig into this a little bit. If
yeah,
I'm an owner, here's what I think. Here's what I think about this this stuff. I could memorize this stuff. Me, remember, I have no experience in this. You do, but I could memorize this and tell this to somebody,
sure.
an owner, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, sounds good. I'll go with you." But what does the owner actually have to hear that would be able, like, it'd almost be able to separate it to a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of deal? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think they could probably talk through what, specific technology are they using, right? Because you could just be like, oh yeah, we're using technology, and that just means you have a
right.
PMS, right?
That's what I mean.
So
And that's
yeah,
last week we talked about specific buzzwords, and that was sort of my intention behind the buzzwords, which is like if I'm an owner, yeah,
yeah,
I could say that, right? I could say it
sure,
all I want as a PM and never do anything. And it's too late, right? They sign a
yeah.
long-term contract. So what is your opinion about what the person needs to hear before they essentially hear this BS, get
Mhm.
sort of manipulated into signing something? Now it's too late, and the owner is sitting there
Yeah,
saying,
I
"Well,
mean, I
that's what
think
they told me."
the first level there is asking what are the specific technology tools that you're using, right?
So what would
Related
they
to
what should
property
they be
management.
listening for there? Because
So
I like to add it to
the
this
list that
thing.
I have is, PMS is just the baseline,
Yep.
but then using things like Zapier to be able to connect Zaps between your PMS and all the other tools that you're using. um, Notion, Breezeway, Monday.com. If you need to use it, we'll be transitioning away from it just to have everything in Notion. But those are some of the big things. Revenue management would be Price Labs, and we'll mention that one in the next one. But for property management, I think property performance, those would be the main things on our end that we would be using.
So are you pretty surprised? I mean, you'd probably run up against the competition. Think back to when you were running a bunch, but you were growing in the Poconos
Yeah.
and you took over properties from other property managers. Were you fairly shocked to see how little of this they were doing?
Yeah, there was a lot of people that just keep it all in their heads, right? There's not really anything written down. And I started that way, right? Like that's how I started. I started with guests getting ready to check in. Let me go ahead and make their code for their door and text it to them, that the code's ready, and to modify the time for when it's available. So early on, a lot of people do that. But as you're building and you're building real business, this is what you have to do. But there are still a lot of companies out there that, don't really have it as dialed in, and it just makes it easier for things to slip through the cracks. And then
Mm,
they don't have as good of a rating.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
All right. So then question 2 was, how do you deliver elite revenue performance? So I said this cannot be completed today without a revenue management software. We specifically use Price Labs, which allows us to create custom seasonal profiles, which includes base price adjustments, minimum stay, and pricing profiles. Compare listing performance data quickly across custom dashboards, or in-depth compared to property-specific bedroom count, or overall market comp sets, and easily share reports documenting income metrics such as ADR, occupancy, MPI, and compare that to our goals for the year, and the market at just a quick push of a button.
So this is gold. So like if I'm an
Yeah.
owner and you're the average to below average property manager that I'm interviewing, and I don't hear stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
hear base price adjustments. I don't hear those buzzwords, and I'm concerned, right?
Yeah. And this would be the thing that I think would jump out pretty
Gotcha.
clearly, right? Like I
God
think there's
bless.
still a lot of companies out there that aren't focused on revenue management. Um, and that's going to be a big, warning sign for people. And then the
So
second
as a
component,
recommendation, if an owner's listening,
yeah,
we're both probably kind of admitting here that the average to below average PM could BS you on question one. Really,
yeah,
they could just
for
memorize some
sure.
stuff, right? Unless what should let's go back just briefly to question one. What should the owner do to ensure that the property manager doesn't BS them on number one? What should they show them? Should they be
Yeah.
showing them specific things?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could ask to see, a sample of their systems, right? Or a sample of their process, which, if somebody's fully operating with multiple listings, like they should be able to, at a minimum, be able to be like, I'm not going to bring you into my actual dashboard, but here are screenshots of, what we have going. And you can see that things are, checked off, getting done, who they're assigned to, and things like that. If you don't have any current properties, like say we're coming out into 30A and you don't have
Right.
anything, you can show, but there's no data really in it, right? You can be
Right.
like, here's everything that's ready for your property. We have it ready to go, which is the foundation that you and I are building. But you just wouldn't be able to show it with data.
Which you'd be able to show your systems as it relates to the properties you're managing, the Poconos or any
Yeah.
historical stuff like that. That's cool. All right. So there are ways where that the owner, if they listen to what you just said, they'd be able to verify that what they're saying is actually happening.
Yeah. For
Okay.
sure.
All right. So question 2, this is either, like you said, it's more clear. There are some real buzzwords and some things that if they don't hear those things, they can ask, like, so the owner would do something like, let's say you're the average to below average PM. The owner would say something like, do you use a revenue management software like Price Labs? And do you include base price adjustments, minimum stay and price?
Or really just talk me through your revenue management plan. Like, what does that kind of look like, right? You want to take over my property in this market. You know how many bedrooms it is. Like, what's your plan? How do you build out the pricing?
Cool.
Right? And if they can't talk through it, then like they don't know, right? So that's the red flag. And then, so the secondary component to this question, which I think I put into the first question when we were running through it last week, is we prioritize listing optimization. Listing optimization is the process of making educated adjustments to the OTA listings based on where the property ranks in the algorithms. We use RankBreeze as our preferred platform to track rankings, but there are others like IntelliHost and AutoRank out there.
So this is like a foreign language to me. Walk me through that.
Yeah. So essentially, your PMS pushes out your listing information to all the different locations, right? So Airbnb, VRBO, the direct booking site. Airbnb has an algorithm that's going to push you towards top of page 1 or to page 30, right? And if you can get yourself to page 1, you're going to get more bookings, higher value bookings, better guests. And the way to do that is to monitor where you're at on the algorithms. It's tied to your ranking, tied to your rating, right? So if you're getting 5-star reviews over and over and over and over, it's easier to stay highly ranked. And if you're getting constantly booked and all that stuff, it's easier to keep the momentum going. But sometimes you need to modify your listing because maybe the title now needs to be updated. Does that help or hurt you in the rankings? And there's now platforms out there like RankBreeze where you make the change, it automatically picks up that you made the change, and then you can go back and check it, say, a week later, and it's going to say, oh, that hurt your ranking. So put back what you had and make a different adjustment. So you can monitor where you are. You're on page 1, you're on page 2, you're on page 5.
So are you thinking this particular bullet point is better in question 2, like you're saying, or it belongs in question? Okay, question 2.
I think it belongs in question 2.
It's more related to revenue management than anything else, even though some of it's based on your rating, is what you're saying.
And because you can only do so well in revenue management, also based on your rankings, right?
Okay.
If you're buried on page 30, it doesn't matter really what you're doing in revenue management. You're just going to struggle to get bookings.
So is our question 2, explain how you deliver elite revenue performance? Should it be explain how you deliver elite revenue and ranking performance?
No, I think it could be fine as revenue performance. I would leave it.
Okay. All right, cool.
I mean, someone may use rankings under a different question, but I think it's fine to leave it as elite revenue performance.
All right.
So, all right. So that brings us question 3. Explain how you deliver elite marketing performance. I'm going to pass it over to you.
So I think this is pretty close to what I said last week. Again, if you didn't listen last week, then this is new to you. If you did, I'm sorry. We're just reinforcing it. But I think that the main thing about marketing will always boil down to one thing. And even an elite marketer may not verbalize it this way, but essentially elite marketers know how to say the right thing to the right person at the right time. I mean, they do that better and more often than anybody else. The problem with Airbnb and VRBO is they're a platform that requires you, not in a bad way, requires you to generalize your listing so you can appeal to everybody. And then sometimes that means you appeal to nobody. And that's the problem. And so you know this better than anybody else, Jeremy, having been so much time in doing this. The best example I can think of is a honeymoon cabin, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are cabins out there that are strictly honeymoon cabins. They are designed, they are appointed, everything about it is designed for a honeymoon couple, right? Yep. When you go on Airbnb, that is a great example of marketing 101. That entire listing is saying the right thing to the right person at the right time. When the person getting married is looking for a cabin. They get to see the honeymoon cabin because they're getting married. All those things fit.
Right.
Every other property is probably designed and been created to want to have whoever stay at.
Generalized.
Right. So if you're in that boat, you can still create the honeymoon cabin concept for your property, but you just can't do it on your Airbnb listing. You can't do it on your VRBO listing. You have to create direct booking pages.
Yeah.
So when you create a direct booking page, if you have the right technology, and this is where Market My STR shines, you can create your main booking page, keep it exactly the way it is, make sure it's right, insert your direct booking widget from your PMS, and then clone it. And on that clone version, you can do your honeymoon suite angle. You can do your golf weekend angle. You can do your girls' night out weekend or girls' weekend angle.
That's the flexibility. It can really be
the leverage.
Yeah, right.
Because then you get back to the core marketing 101, which is if I go on Facebook and create a post, paid or organic, that says we are the ideal place for your men's golf weekend, then I create that post. And if I'm a golfer, I see it and I go, oh, awesome. And it takes me to the general link where it's the Airbnb link and there is no mention of golf anywhere. You're like, that the dude lied to me. This isn't a golf. But if they go to a catered booking page that shows a bunch of golf, like surrounding golf courses, hey, we get a 10% discount on this course. Now you're like, okay.
Yeah, you're hitting your target.
And the property didn't change, but the way you talk to the customer did.
Right.
And you just focused on what they wanted to hear. And that's what elite marketing is.
Yeah, I think you can target a little bit on Airbnb and VRBO through your photos and your copy, right? Where you're going to kind of generalize is all the amenities and the things that you want to make sure you have selected, right? So you're showing up in the search and people are seeing you, and then when they see you, they say, okay, is this fitting what I'm looking for? But I think that what you're talking through with Market My STR and the ability to be able to clone and create multiple direct booking sites and then also be able to update your listing, I think combining those two would be super powerful.
And it's not just for the golfer. Like when we have, and when a person has a decent foothold in a market, then they start creating direct booking pages for the annual K run that's there, for the art event that's there. And now it's a booking page that says the big banner with the dates of the art event. Only this is the best Airbnb for this art event because why is it the best? Maybe it's the closest to one of the coolest events for that week for the art event. Maybe they want to put a basket together that are the 2 winning wines for the art festival last year. If you do marketing well, that's the type of thing you do. And if you have a PM manager who's average to below average, guess what they do? You know it. I know it. They simply turn on the Airbnb listing and the VRBO listing. They don't even do that well.
Yeah, they tend to honestly not even do that, right? Like they'll put it on their direct booking website, right? They'll market to their website. So you can book whatever on their website, not necessarily that specific property. And then you go to the Airbnb and VRBO listings and they're terrible.
Yeah. And that's the other, it's almost robbery here. And you can tell me if I'm overstepping here, but when you go to their booking website, I've noticed that there is no difference in price from the Airbnb listing and their direct booking site.
Yeah, it depends on the company. Sometimes,
but too often there's no difference. That doesn't benefit in any way your competitive desire to get more bookings and to put more money in your pocket.
Yeah, the other thing too, a lot of the large PM companies will charge additional fees to their guests outside of what the owner knows, right? So on their direct booking site, there might be a bunch of extra fees. It could even end up being more expensive.
It's not elite marketing, that's for sure. So the question, that's why it's a pillar. And if you're an owner listening to this, that's what you got to look out for. Show me what you're doing. And the key term or phrase is show me what you're doing off platform. I need to see what strategy you have laid out for me to focus on my property off platform. How do you build a business within a business where my property is one of your businesses that you're promoting independently of everybody else? Or do you just market your brand?
Right. I think one thing that we don't have on our list that ties directly into marketing too is the retargeting, right? So like we've had guests that have stayed with us. We know what they like. They've left information for us, and taking that information and using it to our advantage, right? Versus they disappear and you never talk to them again.
Yeah. Next thing, there's 3 bullet points here. We use core strategies that really bookend the entire experience from here's a stranger who's looking to vacation in a certain market all the way down, all the way to the other end of it, which is that stranger has now stayed at our property 10 times. And you have got to have technology and you've got to have channels to stay in touch and nurture that person and keep them top of mind throughout that entire experience, from stranger all the way to 20 years from now, right? My wife has always gone to the Poconos to a cabin 40 years. They go every year. That cabin has counted on their business for 40 years.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's not the only person who does that.
Have they raised rates, you think, in 40 years?
Yeah, they have.
No, they have. Okay.
Yeah. But I've heard he's selling soon. So we may be that might be the end of it. But real estate's too valuable now for where they're at. He wants to sell it and have a developer turn it into a residential community. But anyway, point is, what's the strategy that the PM has to nurture that person from there to there? That's just critical. And then we run ads. You want to ask the PM, show us your ad campaign on Facebook. And if the ad campaign on Facebook, let's say it's called Below Average Property Management, right? That's the name of the company. If you ask them to show you and they can't show you any active ads on Facebook, that's problem number 1. If they do show you ads on Facebook and it's never mentions a specific property and it's always check out Below Average Property Management for a portfolio of our properties, that's problem number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you know me, like, I hope everybody gets this, and I hope everybody can see why Jeremy and I are going to be a success and why we're so happy to be together. It's because if you hear Jeremy speak about operations, you hear the passion. If you hear me speak about marketing, you hear the passion. I think that's what's going to make us go.
Right. No, agreed.
All right. So that's it. That's question number 3. Question number 4. You're going to have an impact on this one. So go ahead.
Yeah. So explain how you deliver elite hospitality. So we spent a little bit of time on this one last week. And the first one we mentioned, I think we spent a lot of time on, is sending the welcome video at the time of booking.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk through, like, what does that secure when you do that?
Yeah. So hospitality starts at the booking because a hospitality is intended to make you feel comfortable. If any of us in the world think about hospitality, what does hospitality mean? It means someone's willing to put their arms around us, give us a hug, and make us feel welcome. The welcome video is not the video that you share with somebody the day before they check in. The welcome video is the video you share with someone 10 minutes to an hour to 2 hours after they book, because they need a loving embrace to make them feel more comfortable instead of feeling like it's buyer's remorse, like we all feel. Anytime you book a property for the first time, you're going to have buyer's remorse. You're just going to. At what level, I don't know, but you're going to have it. The welcome video is the first thing that starts to make you feel like I made the right choice. So that's number 1.
I would say, I guess at that point too, they're a qualified lead after they've booked, right? We mentioned this last time. They're until they're stepping in the door or until the cancellation policy takes effect, they could cancel, right? So you could lose.
Absolutely right. And that's a great mindset to have, because you should be thinking, I need to nurture this person to that door. Yeah. So nurturing the person to the door is the first thing. The second thing, it just sets up a couple things. It sets the stage for grace. You and I both know. Have you ever had a perfect stay? You probably have, but more times than not.
I don't know if I ever have. Like at an Airbnb, I don't know. I mean,
so stuff goes wrong, in other words, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If you have a welcome video and then you do the other things that we do, then the guest shows up ready to give some grace when something goes wrong. Right. That is powerful leverage point number 2 in the welcome video. The third thing is it greases the skid for a 5-star review. And then the fourth thing it does, it greases the skids for a repeat guest, a repeat guest. 100%. If they're already started feeling at home before they get there, then who doesn't want to go to their home away from home, especially if it's like us? Like, we've stayed at the same property a couple years, but dude, I can tell you, we have bounced around 38 for years, and there's not one property that we've stayed at that has made us feel like that. Not one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this video, it produces a a personal relationship, right? And they're not getting
It
that with
starts
the
one for sure, right?
traditional
Yep.
company, right? It's
Yep.
just not happening.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So then the next thing we had on here, day of communication, obviously checking in with them, seeing how their trip is going, getting out there. One of the things I know you and I are going to do too is whether they're driving or they're flying and we get communication like, hey, we're going to be checking in late, we're delayed, this, whatever it is, we might send pizzas to the house.
Yeah. I
Right.
can't wait to do that. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
And again, it's going to be dependent upon the property that we can bring on, right? To be able to do all this stuff, but that's the plan, right? Like, let them show up, let them be pizzas waiting for them. They don't have to worry about running out to the grocery store or placing an order or doing something that's there for them.
You know what?
And then just the welcome gift.
That brings up such a valuable point for me and my psyche around getting clients. I often think about that, which is, can I take on this client and have that level of hospitality that I want to have?
Mhm.
And it
Right.
defines whether I want to do it or not. And I know you know this, and you're going to help me with this. But I've learned it from you, which is it's about annual revenue if we can do it. I mean,
Yes.
there's not much around that other than if you don't have enough annual revenue at the property, you
Can't
can't
do
do
it.
as much as you want.
Right. 100%.
And or buy-in from the owner. But I think at annual revenue, I'm willing to eat the pizzas,
Yeah. On the occasion, right?
that's right.
Only because in the long term, it pays off. Right.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then the other thing, leaving a welcome gift. I've always done that in the Poconos where it's, a little box for them to be able to do s'mores with their kids around the fire pit and then like some snacks, right? They show up, some popcorn they can throw in the microwave. They want something really quick, some chips. One thing that Abode does that I love, and I think they do this, I think it's in Park City. There's, I guess, like a very well-known bakery and they get croissants,
Mm.
but they have them frozen and they put them in the freezer for their guests with a note left out saying, when you go to bed, take them out, just leave them out. They'll be perfect and ready to go in the oven. When you wake up in the morning, put them at this temperature or whatever. I think going that extra step, right, and doing something that's local and thoughtful, I think would go a really long.
We talk about these things as if like it happens, but dude, I've stayed in 15 Airbnbs. No one's ever done that for me.
No, it doesn't. And that's why Abode's Abode, right? I mean,
Yes.
they're crushing it because they don't go the one extra step. They go the 5 extra steps for
That's
every
right.
single one of their guests.
That's right.
Um,
All right, so let's talk through this third one, digital
Yeah.
guidebooks. I'm going to give an example that everybody's going to have an opportunity to think through themselves, but you can answer it live, Jeremy. We'll just let you pause a little bit so people can get the answer before you say it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So, which guest would you rather be, Jeremy? Guest A shows up at the property to find a pretty dog-eared printed house guide that probably would be better as a science experiment for all of the disgusting breathing crud that's all over it, right? It's probably outdated.
Sticky.
Haven't had a chance. Okay, everybody's probably getting my point here. Or would you rather be guest B, where you slip into the hot tub and instead of trying to find that dog-eared printed house guide that you accidentally drop in the hot tub and that is now ruined, you look over to your right, and on the side right, hanging on the wall, there is a little QR code that you conveniently take your phone and click, and it brings up a 3-step video on how to use the hot tub. And then you sit back, you get your glass of
Or
wine.
it's on your welcome screen on the TV when you walk in and you can grab it right away.
All right, so we're going to give 3 seconds. This is like a Captain Obvious thing. But which one would you choose, Jeremy? Which guest would you be?
I mean, I love sticky guidebooks. They're great, right?
That's right. I mean, so sometimes when you convey things like that, what percentage of people do you think are still using printed guidebooks? I know you don't know the answer, but what's your guess?
I think there's a lot. There's a lot, actually. There's a lot of people but there's people that are trying to elevate it. The challenge becomes making sure it's clean, right? And that it's staying current. Things change. You change something in your house, you need to update it. One thing, I think it was Mike from Happy Guest on a podcast was talking about, and I really like this thing that he does. So they have digital guidebooks, Happy Guest, built into their platform. But what he does at his personal house is he does have a physical guidebook, but it's printed out like a newspaper, and it's a new one that's put out with every guest.
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
cool.
there's like stuff in there. There's like crossword puzzle in there and some other things in there. And like, you can literally sit down and like, when was the last time you sat down and read a newspaper? Like, it's something that people would enjoy to do while they're there. Yeah. So that step is just making sure the cleaners do swap it out every time. You do have enough. And again, there's a cost and a time impact for all that stuff. But
But
that
if
I
you
think that's a very
combine
cool win.
that if you combine that with the digital guidebook and
Right.
forgot to put the newspaper out, you're not materially impacting the experience in a negative way.
Right.
You're leaving something out. It's cool, but it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. And I'll be honest, my wife, she's old school. I think she would like the
Yeah.
printed, but she doesn't touch it. She'll go out there and she'll take like a stick and she'll go, because she just doesn't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea. I think it's something at some point we look into because I think it's really neat. And maybe there's some way of sending out language in a message that says, this is a clean, fresh, this newspaper guidebook is yours. Take it, throw it
I
away,
think
do
you'd
whatever
be
you
able
want
to
with it.
see it. I think
Let your,
I'd be able to notice.
yeah, let your kids color on it.
It's
Maybe there's
fresh.
a coloring page.
All right, number 4, bullet point
I
number
will also say, side note, we recently had an issue in the properties that we own and my business partner is managing that our neighbor has trash cans across the street from us. And we, in multiple messaging in our guidebook in the house, we have what guests should do with the trash. It goes into our shed, which is securely closed because bears can get into it. They close it, right? Leave it in there. We have a guy that comes. Don't worry about it. He's going to pick it up. Time after time, we discovered our neighbors are getting pissed because our guests will carry the trash off our property across the street and think it's our trash cans across the street and fill their trash cans and put it on top of their trash cans. So, messaging and digital guidebooks are great. Guests got to look at it. And if they don't, they're not going to know. So
Yeah.
another thing of like maybe something in the house, like a printed version.
But like, that's where the fun comes in. The first story could be breaking news, right?
Yeah.
Last week, guests get eaten by bears because they put the trash in the wrong place.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, have some fun with it, but
Yeah.
get the point across that, like, don't do that. Don't be that
Yeah.
guest.
Yeah.
Cool,
I mean,
man.
you'll get guests that'll be like, why didn't you warn me that there's bears here? Like we've had that happen.
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
like,
That's the breaking news.
Yeah. You
breaking
didn't
news
tell me
is-
there's bears here when I booked this place.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
It's the breaking news. It's the headline on our newspaper. All right, bullet point number 4, last one. And then we're going to do the final thing we talked about, which is a quick explanation of how we are going to take 2,000
Yeah.
skip trace cold calls through our system and how you and I are going to divide and conquer using a combination of Notion and Market My STR.
Yeah. So we'll finish the last point here. I mean, this just ties back to the property management, but it's, having inspectors that are doing inspections behind cleaners, the challenge becomes on same day flips with coordination, but to basically review, they have their checklist. They make sure if there are things that are wrong, they address it. Cleaners get, it gets reported back to cleaners when they do things wrong. Just having
Let
that
me ask
extra
you a
step of
question.
eyes.
Let me ask you a question. If we're going to have inspections, right? We're going to do it out there.
Yeah.
If a property manager doesn't have the 2 layers, the cleaner, and they're going to do their own walkthrough at the end, and then the inspection, which is completely independent, different. If they don't have that second layer, can they even get to great on property performance?
It's tough. I mean, they have to have that really special cleaner, right?
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned it last week too. Like what I've come to discover and learn is like it's the cleaner's job to clean. There's a
Right.
lot of other things that need to happen in preparation of a guest's arrival that, in my opinion, shouldn't be left to the cleaners.
Yeah.
They should just be there to make sure it's sparkling.
Right. So
Yeah.
instead of just doing the best job they can and leaving and understanding that the inspector's not there to do gotcha work, they're just there to check their work, then they can focus on cleaning without having to worry about just protecting themselves. Just clean.
That's right.
All right. Cool, man. All right. So we got that finalized. Can't wait to start sharing it with our owners. Let's go ahead and talk about the Notion to Market My STR strategy.
So we've talked about it before. We use somebody on Fiverr to skip trace owner contact info. Recently, we reached out to the county. We got the list of all short-term rental permits and addresses in the county. It was like 6,500. We then shrunk that to being all properties within one aspect of our buy box, which is within 0.2 miles of beach access. We don't know what these properties, it's every property within 0.2 miles all along 30A. And so we have a list of, I think it's about like 20, no, it's actually more than that probably. Maybe, 2,500 or so contacts at this point. We just got another list updated that puts us to about that point, and we're going to start calling, right? And you've kind of worked through a script that we're going to try and see if we get success with, but it's basically going to be set up to to see if there's any interest, see how they're doing with their current property manager, setting up a call, and also just determining are we the right fit for each other. And 95% of these are probably not going to be the right fit for us, but we find that 5%, and I think we're doing well. But the way that we're going to do it is we're going to start with all the contacts in Notion. I'm going to try and share my screen, and hopefully you don't lose me. All right.
This has been
So,
one of my favorite episodes so far.
so if anybody is or wants to watch, we do post the videos. So I'm in process of building out our Notion template.
Let me just be very clear on that, Jeremy, real quick. You can watch live where you can see us on Facebook and on YouTube. We're only on audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
There you go. So I'm in process of building this out. There's a template that you can purchase on Notion's website, certified template created by Michael Dinwiddie. Mine is very similar to his. I bought his. I'm just learning Notion and kind of taking what he did and applying it to ours and making some tweaks. But this is us building out Notion. I'm going to go into our sales CRM here. We can do a whole nother show on what Notion is and how it works and why we're switching from Google Drive to Notion. But essentially, we've got all the contacts that we've uploaded into Notion to date. Right now, until I upload this next list of like 2,000, we've got 682 contacts for us to call, currently teed up in Notion. The way that you and I are going about this is I'm going to start on the east side of 30A and go west, town to town, and you're going to start on the west side. We shrunk that to being just 4 towns. So we're going to go from Inlet Beach to Watersound. And then we're going to add in West PCB, but that's a whole nother process we have to do with guests, with owner contact info and permits. But what we did is we took the whole list, we broke that list down by what town is each one of these homes in, and then broke that down again so that we can separate it and start making calls. So right now I'm in the Watersound Beach pipeline. There's only 21 contacts or listings for Watersound at the moment in here. But essentially it's a board view. It's a little tile. This tells us, the first name, last name of the guest, the property info, the owner info, because sometimes there's more than one owner. And what I found in the past is I might call and say, "Hey, Frank." And they might say, "No, this isn't Frank. It's Danelle." They're like, "Oh, okay. Now I can see they're actually an owner, right? I just have the wrong number tied I have the right person, but the wrong number for that person."
So you're talking about when it's like a husband wife? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or like business partners or something, right?
Okay.
Eventually, when you and I own 50
Okay.
together, right? Somebody may call you and ask.
I got you.
And then here's all the numbers. And then essentially what we can do is just move them along the pipeline. Right now, there's probably more pipeline items than we need, because essentially once it becomes an opportunity for us, we're going to shift it into Market My STR, right? So we really only need probably these first 4 columns of phone number was incorrect. We tried calling and left a message. We got a do not contact, get lost, right? Or it's a new opportunity. They're interested. And then
can I jump in for a sec?
Yeah.
So the reason why it's headed to Market My STR is because we have proved through Market My Co. and working with a lot of service-based businesses over the years that we have identified that there are really 4 categories of a person that we want to track. One is a suspect, and that means someone who we think would be a great client, but they don't know us and we don't know them. And that's what these are. These are suspects to us.
Right.
They're a little more than suspects. They may actually be called a qualified suspect in that we have taken a lot of effort to only skip trace and find information for homeowners who are within our target distance from the beach. So, but we still don't know for sure whether they've got good access to a pool. We don't know if they've got good access to the beach. So we do not know. So arguably there's still a suspect, and that's where they sit inside of here, which is in that stage, we have got to determine whether they're going to become what's called a prospect. That's the second step in our definition of this person that we're targeting. And so suspect is we don't know them, they don't know us, but we think they might be a good fit. Prospect is they have said something positive to us. We've called them and we've said, hey, are you happy with your current manager? And they say no. And then we ask, would you be open to a conversation? And they give us some sort of positive reaction. Bam. That's when we're going to put it into Market My STR, because now we want to have a team help us manage it through to the end. It helps us start nurturing them via email. We can start contacting via text message. It just elevates our nurturing process when we do that. So then so it's suspect, then prospect. Qualified prospect is what Jeremy and I are uncertain of at this stage, because it won't be until we talk to them before we confirm they meet our standard as a qualified prospect. And listen, you guys may sound like, hey, you don't have a client yet. Why are you being so restrictive? Well, because we're building a thoughtful business. And our qualified prospect,
we will probably be a little flexible on the first.
But that still is our definition of a qualified prospect.
Correct.
Even if it's a little flexible than our strict definition, ultimately, it's still, what have they done for us to say they're a qualified prospect? And then the last category for us is qualified hot prospect. And that's where they're saying, yeah, I want to schedule an appointment with you to talk specifically about my property and your services.
Right. And, I think as we're making these calls, if we got somebody on the phone that's interested in chatting, like, we're going to do a quick Google search, take a quick look at their home and be like, we'll have a pretty good, quick thought of like, all right, maybe, or yes, or oh, okay, definitely not. And we can figure out how to steer that conversation.
And then if we rewind back earlier in our conversation today, we're going to think about, do we have the revenue? Can we generate the revenue out of this property to do the job, the elite hospitality pillar that we want to? And if we can't, it's probably going to only either in the short term or long term hurt our brand.
Yeah. I think I might challenge you a little bit on that and say some of that hospitality stuff is going to have to come later. We may take on that first one that doesn't check all those boxes, and maybe we can't do the pizzas when they're running late, but we can still crush that revenue compared to what they were doing previously to then help us expand and get to those properties that allow us to do what we want to do.
We'll talk about
proof of concept.
Well, I think you're right to some extent, because at some point, and maybe even it's at the beginning, we say here, Mr. Homeowner, like, we're just new. So here's our dreams about what elite hospitality look like to us. But I can tell you, within a year, if we're not coming to you and saying, you have to allow us to elevate our hospitality to this dream state we're in now, because we have a bigger client base now, we can do it. Either you do that, or we've got people knocking on our door as clients, and we're going to have to make a tough decision.
Yeah. That might have to be a later conversation. I don't think, we're giving everyone the opportunity to get out in 30 days, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're unique, but I don't think anybody's going to want to say, okay, I'm going to come on board, but you may move on from me in a year.
Well, I mean, if you want to be part of this, we're going to be the best. We're going to be the best co-hosts on the beach, and we're going to be the best co-hosts in the mountains. We might be tied with a boat because they're legit. Like, there's nothing we can say bad about them. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, they crush it. So that's what we're going to do. Notion gives you a lot of capabilities to take notes, do whatever you need, easily move it along. Like, if we want, Frank is now a phone number that did not work. I just dragged them over. It's very, very simple. So, and intuitive. So yeah, that's the plan. You and I are going to get to work. I'm setting up your Notion account. I'm going to share our view of our sales CRM database, so you can start calling, and we're gonna hit the phones.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode, unless you've got anything else to add.
No, I think we covered it all for today.
Cool.
I think here in the near future, you and I are going to start bringing on guests on a little bit more of the regular, right? And kind of hearing directly from the experts, and hopefully we learn a few things.
All right, bring something totally off topic to the table next week.
All right, I might have to use ChatGPT, but we'll see.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys.